From the moment Joe Biden announced his candidacy for president, the biggest risk the country faced was that he would wind up in high-stakes negotiations with Republican congressional leaders, and those Republicans would fleece him blind. Now, for months, Biden insisted that he wouldn't ever be in that room because he simply wasn't going to negotiate with Republicans over lifting the debt ceiling. Except he also poured cold water on the 14th Amendment and the platinum coin and all the other things, which handed Republicans all of the leverage. Biden also had the chance to lift the debt ceiling when Democrats controlled Congress, and he didn't do so. This was a rare opportunity for Biden to actually deliver this line and mean it.
Senator, you can have my answer now if you like. My offer is this: nothing.
Instead, Biden went into negotiations and also didn't make a serious offer of his own. He's made a few half-hearted suggestions that a way to cut the deficit that would be better is to target hedge fund managers and the super rich, but when McCarthy objected, he just dropped it. So now he's negotiating the size of the cut, and Democrats' only hope is that Republicans can't get their own party together to agree on what they want, and they fail to seize the moment the same way they did back in 2011. And all of this reminds me of the last time Biden, as vice president, intervened in high-stakes Capitol Hill negotiations. Afterwards, Harry Reid ordered the White House to never send him down Pennsylvania Avenue again. He did such a poor job, he got a worse deal out of Mitch McConnell than McConnell had already agreed to give Harry Reid. The circumstances were similar. I covered this moment in my last book, We've Got People, and this came at the end of the year 2012. So Obama had just stomped Republican Mitt Romney at the polls, if you remember, in a post-Occupy Wall Street campaign that centered on economic inequality. Democrats picked up 2 seats in the Senate, expanded their majority to 53, adding Elizabeth Warren to their ranks. And though Democrats won more House votes nationwide and picked up a net of 8 seats, Republicans still held on to the House narrowly. Now, the Bush tax cuts were set to expire at the end of 2012, creating what was called a fiscal cliff. If Congress did nothing, taxes would go up on everybody, but especially on the rich. Harry Reid told me in an interview for that book that going over the cliff was precisely his plan. Reid said, quote, "I thought that would have been the best thing to do because the conversation would not have been about raising taxes, which it became. It would have been about lowering taxes. In other words, let all the rates go up and then bargain with Republicans to reduce taxes just for the middle class and the working poor." Minority Leader Mitch McConnell similarly knew that the difficult position going over the cliff would put him in, and in talks with Reid, he agreed to let rates on people making more than $250,000 per year go back up. McConnell had a strong sense that Reid intended to go over the cliff and put Republicans up against a wall. Reid felt like he had successfully pushed McConnell to the brink. So it was now Sunday, December 30th, 2012, and Democrats only had to hold out until that Tuesday to find themselves in a dramatically improved political position, as the dawning of the new year would mean the tax cuts expired and automatically reverted to pre-Bush levels. At that point, it would be Republicans who would be left pleading for those rate cuts. In desperation, Mitch McConnell reached out directly to Joe Biden, calling him on the phone and explaining that Reid was refusing to be reasonable. Over the course of the day, McConnell and Biden struck a deal. A former McConnell aide told me Biden gave Republicans everything they wanted in exchange for fixing the fiscal cliff problem. But just like today, the fiscal cliff problem was only a problem because Biden allowed it to be a problem. Harry Reid was happy to drive the car off the cliff and then fight it out amid the wreckage. In the same way, Biden could just ignore the debt ceiling, invoke the 14th Amendment, and dare John Roberts to then blow up the global economy. On the morning of New Year's Eve, Reid was still feeling good about his position, ignorant of what Biden had given away. Then Mitch McConnell took to the Senate floor and announced that he'd been in talks with the vice president. They were progressing well, and he was hopeful that they'd have legislation to move by the end of the day. As details of the deal began leaking out, progressive Democratic senators were floored. A large group of them, including Bernie Sanders, Sherrod Brown, Jeff Merkley, Sheldon Whitehouse, Al Franken, and Tom Harkin of Iowa, stormed over to Harry Reid's office. The deal was awful, they told Reid, and it had to be stopped. Reid told them what had happened, that it was out of his hands and that McConnell had gone around him directly to Biden. He said he was working on improving it and would be in touch throughout the day. Now, none of the senators had any business scheduled. It was New Year's Eve, after all. So Bernie Sanders invited them back to his office in the Dirksen building. The Hart building has a popcorn machine, so Harkin asked his staff to bring some by. The crew ended up spending several hours together in Sanders' office thinking through potential strategies of opposition, waiting to hear from Reid, and chewing on popcorn. Instead, one senator's phone rang, and it was Joe Biden calling to sell the deal that he had cut. In classic Biden fashion, he offered up a 10 to 15-minute soliloquy, a meandering argument that largely boiled down to, "You can trust me. I'm your friend. This is a good deal." The senator could barely get a word in before the conversation ended. Moments after he hung up, another cell phone rang, and it was Biden again. Unaware that the group was all together, Biden proceeded to call each of them one after the other, delivering the same spiel. Ultimately, it fell to Reid to drag the progressive senators into line. Once it was clear that the White House was on board with Biden's deal and McConnell was all in, that meant that there would be at least 70 or 80 votes for it. The progressive bloc could vote no, but it would only send a message of discord and have no effect on the outcome, Reid told them, coaxing them to support the deal he himself loathed. In the end, all the progressive senators, including Bernie, except for Tom Harkin, voted for the deal. It passed 89-8. Years later, Reid still regretted how it went down. He told me, quote, "If we'd have gone over the cliff, we'd have had resources to do a lot of good things in this country, infrastructure, development, but it didn't work out that way. Letting all the tax rates go back to pre-Bush levels would have yielded the Treasury around $3 trillion over 10 years. Without the deal, taxes on dividend payments to the rich would have been set at 39.6%. Under the terms of the deal, they would be set at 20% instead, meaning that the super wealthy would be paying lower taxes on their passive dividend income than many working people pay on their wages. It helped fuel the inequality that keeps getting worse, and it added trillions to the debt at the same time. Now Biden has another chance to be in the room, and so far, he's getting outmaneuvered, Sagar, by Kevin McCarthy.
Yes.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.